Being here, appreciate you. Got a couple in person and several joining us online, so thank you for making the time this morning. We will go ahead and get started. I'm David Martin, Chair of the Commission on Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure and Development Commission, present at Central High School Building, 4th floor boardroom at 359 Northwest Street, Jackson, Mississippi, 39201. This is a regular meeting commission being held today, Friday, March 7th, 2025 at 10 a.m. pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 25-41-5 with some commission members present via teleconference. Notice of this meeting included date, time, place, and purpose of the meeting and identified the location available to the public has been posted. Audio recording is being made of this meeting and minutes of the meeting will be recorded as well. Our call to order, meeting being called to order at 10:02 a.m. on Friday, March 7th, 2025. Need to establish a quorum. As I call your name, commission members, please state your location for this meeting. Reminder, if you're online, be sure to unmute yourself. Dylan Baldwin.
Present, Jackson, Mississippi.
Thank you, sir. Jamie Creel. Rebecca Gray.
Present, Iuka, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Mary Hill Taylor.
Present, Choctaw, Mississippi.
Thank you. John Howard.
Present, Clarksville, Mississippi.
Thank you, sir. Kim Hubbard.
Present, Flowood, Mississippi.
Thank you. Dr. Teresa J-Rowe.
Present, Darkville, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Bernardo Kelly.
Present, Gulfport, Mississippi.
Thank you. I'm present, 4th floor, Jackson, Mississippi. William Murphy.
Present, Indianola, Mississippi.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Teresa Poole. See a flashing up there. Dr. Poole.
She's there.
Can't hear you, Dr. Poole. Give us a signal or type something in the comments when you get a second, please. Miss Etta Taplin. Thank you, ma'am. And Aaron Wilson.
Present, Jackson, Mississippi.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, Dr. Poole, did we get something from her? Maybe having a couple of technical difficulties there, but we are good. We'll have enough for a quorum. A quorum of the commission is present at the location stated for conducting a meeting through in-person and teleconference means. Moving on to item 3, approval of the minutes from the January 10th, 2025 meeting of the commission. Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes for that meeting of the commission. Please identify yourself for the record.
Hubbard, motion to approve.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Second, Ms. Taplin. Thank you, ma'am. Any discussion? All right, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 4, approval of the hearing subcommittee minutes from January 8th, 2025. Entertain a motion for approval of the hearing of subcommittee minutes from that date. Subcommittee members present that day were Mary Hill Taylor, Jamie Creel, and William Murphy. Please identify yourself for the record.
To approve, Mary Hill Taylor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second, William Murphy.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5, approval of hearing subcommittee minutes from February 5th, 2025. Entertain a motion for approval of those hearing subcommittee minutes. Subcommittee members present that day, Etta Taplin, Jamie Creel, William Murphy. Please identify yourself for the record. Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, William Murphy.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, adoption of the agenda. Entertain a motion for approval of the adoption of today's agenda. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion, Dylan Baldwin.
Thank you, sir.
Second, Aaron Wilson.
Second, Mary Hill Taylor.
Mr. Wilson got the second. Appreciate that. Any discussion? All right.
The only thing I was gonna say is that the date on, items 4 and 5, the year is incorrect. For January the 8th.
Gotcha.
You have 2024, February 5th, 2020, so it should be 2025.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep, easy fix there. And I think it's right on the packet, just wrong on the agenda cover, so. Thank you, appreciate that.
Posted.
All right, anything else? All right, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving today's agenda, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 7, MDE updates from Dr. Corey Murphy.
Thank you so much, Chairman Martin, and good morning to the members of the commission and the public. I have just a couple updates for you. One is you guys charged us with a few months ago beginning a comprehensive review of all licensure policies and you know, pathways to licensure and so on and so forth. Just wanted to let you know that that is underway, and in short order, you know, we'll start to, I guess, pick the low-hanging fruit and start bringing items to you. And so in the short term, those items that we run across that are quick fixes or gaps, so to speak, we'll bring those beginning in May. But there will be some that will be longer term. The areas of focus right now are elementary education, special education, mathematics education, and, you know, of course, others that we run across, and we'll bring those before you. But just wanted you to know that it didn't fall on deaf ears. We're actually moving with a sense of urgency to review, and we're doing that internally across program offices within MDE, but also at the same time with education stakeholders as appropriate. The next update is with regard to the Mississippi Educator Career Continuum Archive System, and that's the MECA system that we refer to it as, but nonetheless, it's a system that is going to ultimately consist of 4 portals. The first portal was that was launched was the Educator Licensure, Misconduct, and Educator Preparation portal that launched in January of 2023, I believe, January 17th. And maybe most, or if not all of you, have actually had the opportunity to get in there and experience the system and experience the efficiency that is brought to our team and the licensing process and renewal process and so on and so forth. Aside from that particular portal, we launched a professional growth system portal that is available to local school districts to actually utilize at no cost. The mandatory use is for meeting Standard 3, where you guys have to submit at the end of each year the summative results of the observations that are done utilizing the professional growth system. But there are a host of other features that are there that are available at no cost to local school districts in the state of Mississippi. Portal 3 will be our educator talent portal, and Portal 4 is the accreditation portal. And so I'll start with the accreditation portal. It'll be launched in April, at some point in April, I believe around mid-April. And with that, it would allow the department, our Office of Accreditation, to conduct desk audits for those particular standards, accountability standards, that don't require you to be physically present to confirm, you know, certain things, like when checking buses or egress and you know, signage and things of that nature. But those standards that you would normally print documents for us to review anyway, you can simply upload those for the most part for review, where we'd be able to do that electronically, so to speak, more so than having to have a physical presence in the district. The other exciting and final portal, which is Portal 3, is the Educator Talent Portal. Over the years, we've gotten requests from local school districts throughout the state to post positions for you guys, to advertise them for you. And so want you to know that, although we don't have tools when you ask sometimes, we do listen and start to try to work to find ways to bring about those resources. And so that's what this particular tool would actually offer to local school districts, but not only school districts, but educator preparation providers and candidates themselves for the most part for for employment. And so just to name a few things, Mississippi school districts and prospective and practicing educators will be able to create their own personal profile. And so local school districts will be able to post their vacant positions. Candidates will be able to actually apply for those positions, search for those positions based on subject area, grade level, location across Mississippi for the most part, right there in the system. And the educator preparation providers will have the opportunity to actually market initial licensure and add-on certification programs to candidates via the portal. And what that means is those candidates who actually hold emergency certificates. The special non-renewable is for the candidate who's not gone through any pathway. You've just recruited them, and they're holding the special non-renewable license that's requested by the local school district. Educator preparation providers would actually have access to those particular candidates, knowing who actually holds that, and be able to market non-traditional and traditional pathways to those candidates and any kind of incentives or scholarships they may have for selecting their institution, so to speak. And so aside from that, any candidate who may be holding and what we refer to as a veteran license, a teacher teaching out of field, local school district requests this license for Mrs. Taplin to teach Spanish for the most part. They'd be able to market, that to them, right there in the system for the most part. And so within the next few weeks, what we're going to do is that we'll actually reach out to a sample group of local educational agency, human resource directors, and ask that you guys actually get in there and test the system out for us, and to see if there's any major gaps for the most part that we can actually address before. But if there's something major or enhancements that they provide, that would happen after we actually launch, so to speak. And so we have it ready to go, but definitely want to have that testing element done first. Before we do that, we'll also have educator preparation providers to get in there, test it out as well, but also candidates who will test the application feature for us. There's also another, I guess, not necessarily audience, but user, and that's our department has deployed or placed in each congressional district educator workforce specialists. And so their role is to basically, help to assist with recruitment and so on and so forth. And so it'll be a tracking tool for them to actually enter. So the system is actually designed for, each user and based on, how they'd actually utilize the system. And so again, just as the accreditation portal is scheduled to launch in April, this particular portal will launch around the same time as well. And so are there any questions about the first two items that I've shared before I share the last?
Districts to let them know that this is in place?
Yes,
how
ma'am.
are we going to communicate this so we can
Yes,
make sure
ma'am.
that they're using it?
Absolutely. And so we've been communicating it since about, I guess, 2020, 2021, when we started to build it. And so, and at every conference, we continue to share that it's coming, it's being built. But yes, we'll definitely send out correspondence to each of the local educational agencies. And then we ask also, the prep providers and all other stakeholders, teachers, to get it out to teachers so that they know, and that we don't really have direct access to teachers other than to utilize their email addresses when it comes to licensure applications and so on and so forth. But we'll definitely work with our communications team here at the agency to place it in all the newsletters they send out for the agency as well. Yeah, I just wanted to give you an update on that. And then the last is our Elevate Teachers Conference for 2025. That's a conference that is available at no cost to teachers. It's for teachers. It's one of the strategies that we created for retention. And as you know, it's probably one of the only or one of a few that are geared towards teachers. There are multiple organizations that target administrators and other leaders for the most part, but we wanted to make certain that we had something that really targets teachers and at no cost to them. CEU credits are offered, and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, information, we're in the final phase of procurement. And so therefore, we're not able to announce, location and disseminate information for registration at this point. But within the next couple of weeks, you should be seeing something communicated about that as well. And so we just ask that, you can attend. It's always great to see those that actually develop policy for them, in the room, but also help us to get the word out about the conference. And so we give first come, first serve, preference for new attendees first, and then subsequent to that, we offer it to those who have been regular attendees each year for the most part. And so that concludes the updates that I have for today.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And definitely on the Mecca and those 4 extra tools coming in, I know as everything's rolled in, y'all have done a great job of making adjustments and fixing things. So I'm excited about the portal and accreditation part. I think could be really interesting as well. So appreciate y'all working on that.
Thank you.
All right, move on to item 8. Approval to establish a qualifying score for the revised versions of certain praxis subject assessments. Early childhood education, foundational knowledge and content, test code 5534. Family and consumer sciences, 5123. Social studies, 5581, as recommended by the ad hoc committee of the Commission on Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure Development, and approval to establish a qualifying score for praxis subject assessment Japanese, world language, test code 5661, and add Japanese world language licensure endorsement code to be determined at this point, and list the approved supplemental endorsements that may be added to a valid 3-year internship license or valid 5-year standard license by obtaining a passing score on the appropriate praxis subject assessment, and update the test code associated with the foundations of reading assessment to change from test code 190 to test code 890 with no changes to the test content and no change to the current Mississippi Board of Education's required passing score. Dr. Murphy.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. I know the stem is pretty long, but we like to practice making certain that, the stem that you read, it actually tells you what the item is about. And all the backup that you see should actually, flesh out in more depth what it is we're asking for the most part in detail. Also, it helps us when we're researching in future years. It makes it easier for us to serve you better when you have questions about certain things and so on and so forth. So that is why you see these long stems from time to time. But nonetheless, the item itself, it's Chairman Martin just read it, but I wanted to point out a couple details. As you know, the Educational Testing Service, around this time of the year, we always bring at least 3 to 4 assessments to you that they've regenerated, and that they regenerate or refresh the content of these assessments on an annual basis. And so there would never be a year that we don't have at least 1 to 3 assessments that we bring before you. And so those are listed there. And so won't say much about that, and that the ad hoc committee was appointed, and basically they took a look at those assessments, and these are the scores that they're recommending to you. But did want to touch on the second request, which is for establishing a supplemental endorsement for the area of Japanese world language. And, as we get requests from local school districts, believe it or not, there are 1 or more that actually want to offer Japanese as a foreign language to students. And so, but also we're charged by law. 3732 charges us to create, multiple pathways for actually adding endorsements and so on and so forth. And so as districts have need in certain areas, we bring those to you. And so there is at least 1 district or more that actually has this need, but we don't have a license for it at this time. And so therefore, the fastest way to create, a pathway for gaining certification is the utilization of the assessment as an add-on. And so just as any other add-on by test, it can be added to a 3-year internship license that one would actually gain through one of the non-traditional pathways. and then add it to a 5-year standard license, standard renewable license. And so are there any questions about Japanese before I hit the last part? All right. So the final is with regard to the Foundations of Reading Assessment. And so the Pearson, Evaluation Systems of Pearson, I'm sorry, I lost the name of the organization, but Evaluation Systems of Pearson, they are now offering the Foundations of Reading as a part of their national program. And as a part of the national program, there are certain, I guess, benefits that, or not necessarily incentives, but benefits that go along with that version of the assessment. And so in order to distinguish, they simply changed the test code. So the current assessment is licensed through a particular state that utilizes as part of a state-specific pathway, but they've created a national set of assessments for the most part, and this is just a part of that. So nothing changed about the content, nothing's changing about the current score that's required. It's just the benefits are tied to the new version or the new test code, so to speak, 890, and not the 190. So nonetheless, it just gives our candidates access to some of the benefits. And so I'll name a couple. One is basically they offer certain courses for preparation that are tied to this particular version of the assessment. Also, this version of the assessment, if a candidate finds him or herself taking the assessment a third time and they're not successful, after that third time, it's free until they actually pass the assessment, so to speak. And so those are just a couple of the things that are actually tied to the 890 version versus the 190. And again, 190 is tied to a state-specific program. 890 is tied to their national program, which offers, at least the two incentives, not incentives, but because taking the test 3 times,
Yeah.
but nonetheless.
Different opportunities.
Yeah, different opportunities benefits
test
tied to it. Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you those served on the subcommittee, and thank you Dr. Murphy and his whole department, because a lot of that, obviously a lot to read and a lot to say, but there's a lot of moving pieces, but again, all that to add, and we all know Japanese is not going to be added probably to 75% of the districts out there, but there's going to be several that appreciate that, but it takes all that legwork to get it done, so appreciate y'all doing that.
And I failed to mention, and I'm done after this, that I want to remind you that any assessment that we phase out, we do that in accordance with your discontinued test policy. And so for any candidate who takes the current version of the praxis assessments that you see on page 1, on or before August 31st of 2025, they'll have 2 years to actually use that score as a part of their licensure application. And so they'll have until 2027 to actually utilize that. And any new version of the assessment starts September 1. And so beginning September 1, that's when the new version of the assessment will be required. So anybody taking the assessment after August 31st, September 1 and beyond, they're required to take the new version. But anyone who takes it before then and passes it by August 31st will have until 2027, August 31st, to use that score. Otherwise, after that, they'll be subject to taking and having to pass the new version of the assessment.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the reminder on that. Any questions for Dr. Murphy? All right, entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve, Aaron Wilson.
Thanks, sir. Need a second?
Second, Teresa J. Rose.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, any further questions? Call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 9, approval to begin the Administrative Procedures Act process to revise Mississippi Admin Code 7-4, Part 4, Licensure Guidelines K-12 to establish a supplemental endorsement and licensure criteria for advanced placement computer science A. Licensure Endorsement Code 612. Ms. Clemens.
Good morning, Dr. Murphy, Chairman Martin, and members of the commission. The Office of Secondary Education comes to you this morning requesting approval to establish a supplemental endorsement in the area of advanced placement, computer science A. Currently, several years ago, as many of you remember, we had some flat data on our AP test, and as a result of that, we decided to remove the added AP endorsement for teaching our advanced placement classes. So what that means is, like, for example, teachers that teach AP mathematics courses didn't have to have an additional AP endorsement. They just needed the 154, which was the secondary mathematics. However, in doing that, AP Computer Science A is a little different. We do not have a broad or rigorous computer science endorsement. We do have some computer science endorsements, but they are for specific courses. For example, the teaching of Cyber Foundations 1, Cyber Foundations 2 in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, teaching engineering and computer science, but they are not of the rigor that the AP Computer Science A class is established. So what we're asking to add back a 612 AP Computer Science endorsement. Teachers who teach the Computer Science A class, they will have to have either secondary mathematics endorsement, a secondary biology endorsement, a secondary chemistry endorsement, or a secondary physics endorsement along with the 612 AP endorsement. The endorsement can be earned through a NDE-approved Advanced Placement Summer Institute. I will tell you that we did do some impact data before we moved forward with this. We currently have 10 school districts offering AP Computer Science A. We have 10 teachers who are providing that instruction. We have 114 students, approximately 114 students that are taking AP Computer Science A. Of the 10 teachers, one of those teachers already has obtained the 612 from the previous requirement. 5 of those teachers are teaching it with a secondary mathematics endorsement, and 4 are actually teaching out of area. They don't have the mathematics, the biology, the chemistry, or the physics. They have other licensure endorsements, but they are teaching out of area. So our proposal is that we put the 612 endorsement requirement if approved by you and of course the state board, go out for APA. If approved, it would go into effect the 2026-2027 school year. And the reason for that is because we do want to give the 5 mathematics teachers who are currently teaching that AP Computer Science A class, we want to give them the opportunity to earn that 612 because they have been teaching it. And we also worked with Shelley Hollis, who is the director of the Center for Cyber Education at Mississippi State University, and she has agreed to help us train those 5 mathematics teachers so they will not have to pay out of pocket to earn the 612 when they are already teaching the class. So we did our homework, and we think that by requiring some training in this area, it will provide some really good resources to our teachers who are teaching this class. I will tell you, of the 10 schools that are offering course currently, only 3 of them tested students during the 2024 AP test administration, and only 2 of them had AP scores 3 or higher. So we know that there is some work to be done, and I think that work is helping provide resources to our teachers who are in the classroom working with our students. So again, the request is that we implement the 612 AP Computer Science A endorsement in addition to those 4 content areas, and that go into effect the 26-27 school year. And I'll entertain any questions.
The summer class, is that strictly going to be in person?
Yeah, they generally are in person. Now, of course, we're in 2025, so I do know that what we're working on is trying to provide some AP Summer Institutes regionally, because although it's not required, lots of teachers, I haven't been a former AP macroeconomics teacher, you know, that training is really invaluable, whether it's required or not. So we're working on trying to provide some regional APSIs, and it will look, it's usually a 1-week in-person training, but with it being 2025, there are some hybrid models that we can work with, and that's why we put in the standard that it's NDE approved, so that we can work with institutions who want to provide that training.
Somebody else, I think, started with a question.
I was just going to ask, you know, I was a teacher in the past that taught cyber foundations, and I didn't know if there would be an opportunity in the future for any of those teachers that already have that endorsement could also, if they want
Yeah.
to move into this
Yeah.
position.
Yeah,
About that for the future.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. We work very closely. All of the training for the Cyber Foundations courses are done through the Center for Cyber Education. So we work very closely with Shelley Holland. So what I could very well see happening is that as we move forward, kind of revising that training just a little bit, saying to make sure that we're kind of teeing teachers up, you know. We are not asking for the same endorsement for AP Computer Science principles, because quite honestly, that's kind of a general course and it's not as rigorous. But this AP Computer Science Principles A, it's a rigorous course, you know. So I could very well see us working with Shelley to revise that Cyber Foundations 1-2 training a little bit, so that teachers who get that, I think it's a 933, I may be wrong on that, but when they get that endorsement, they can then go forth, do the AP, and then it would be the 933 plus the 612. So yeah, we can look at that.
That's good. I just wanted to mention that, just again, for the future, it's just something.
No, that's great. I appreciate that.
Any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the APA process to revise Mississippi Admin Code 74, Part 4, to establish the AP Computer Science A License Endorsement Code 612.
Motion to approve, Mary Hill Taylor.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, Dylan Baldwin.
Second, Teresa Poole.
Mr. Baldwin got it. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 10, approval of ratifications of agreed orders and/or voluntary surrenders. Mr. Scott DeYoung.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning to everyone. The Office of Educator Misconduct has 6 agreed orders to present to you for consideration and ratification. Standard 10, breach of contract. The following educators have entered into agreed orders for violation of Mississippi Code annotated 37957 and Standard 10 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards. All have consented to enter into the agreed orders relinquishing their educator licenses without the necessity of a disciplinary hearing before the commission. All the following licenses shall be relinquished, suspended, or otherwise surrendered from the date of ratification by the commission and will be eligible for reinstatement upon conclusion of the suspension period. The respondents must petition for reinstatement of their educator licenses pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 373214A without the necessity of a hearing. Emily Pursley, license number 328179, Quitman School District. Peepsy Captadon, license number 324537, Harrison County School District. Victoria Seal, license number 324374, Lauderdale County School District. And Lacey Ingram, license number 329841, Laurel School District. In addition, we have Standard 4, educator-student relationship violations. The following educators have entered into agreed orders for violation of Standard 4 and Standard 9 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards, placing their licenses on probation. In addition, educators must complete coursework related to educator ethics prior to the end of the probation period. And any violations or failure to meet coursework requirements will result in the automatic suspension of the license for 1 calendar year, after which they may petition for reinstatement hearing before the commission. Chance Collins, license number 314767, Madison County School District, Standard 4. And Marilyn Payne, license number 206336, Clarksdale Collegiate School District, Standard 9. That concludes the agreed orders for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And as always, everybody knows with the hearings, those take a minute, so the agreed upon orders definitely move that process along. So thank you for that. Entertain a motion for approval of ratification of the agreed orders and/or voluntary surrenders, or a motion to take under advisement. Please identify yourself for the record and which motion.
Kim Hubbard, motion to approve.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, Aaron Wilson.
John Howard, second.
Mr. Wilson got it just by hair. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Any discussion? Move for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 11. Just a reminder, regular meeting of the Licensure Commission. Next one is Friday, May the 2nd, 2025. As always, thank you for those who came in person. Thank you to MDE and our departments, and Dr. Murphy and Mr. Young and everybody it takes to get all these up and running, technology. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate everybody made time to meet us online. So thank you all. At this time, we'll entertain a motion for approval to adjourn. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to adjourn.
Chairman, this is Teresa Poole.
Yes, ma'am.
I missed the call. I had to join. I just want to make sure you knew I was here. I didn't know if I could let you know that.
Okay, we did. Well, I'll get that. What's your location?
Hattiesburg.
Ms. Poole, Hattiesburg. We'll get you added. Thank you. All right, Ms. Tapley made a motion for adjournment. Need a second?
Second, John Howard.
Mr. Howard, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 10:40 a.m. Again, thank you all. Appreciate you making the time.